Mobile moves at such a rate, it changes every day. So when you ask a group of mobile experts what's coming down in the next 12 to 18 months, you'd be surprised at their response. Have a listen. So what kind of exciting things do you see happening in the next little while?
I mean, what happens typically when you democratize a distribution channel, we've seen it in music, you get kind of two phases of change. You get the first phase is the regulations come off. So the kind of constriction in the middle, which in television is the FCC. Yeah. Essentially, you and I could have a great idea for a TV channel now. And it would be a while before we got it on the air because of the FCC regulations in North America, and in the UK it's the same, and I don't know about Canada, but it's almost certainly regulated.
Absolutely.
That restriction actually creates profit because actually you've got limited content, even more limited distribution opportunities, and then out to the consumer.
100%. Yeah.
What's actually going to happen is, as we move to a digital IP type television, actually two things happen. Well, first of all, the restriction comes off. Then what happens is you get this catastrophic growth in content. And effectively, you get the same model. You get exponential growth in content. Sure, you don't have a limited distribution channel, but you've got such a large content. And what happened in the music business was now the cost of production, or the cost of actually getting to the audience, has shifted from production to marketing. And there's the challenge. And so from our point of view, TV companies are going to have to spend a lot more money on marketing their product in the IP space. And there are opportunities there. Absolutely convinced of that.
What excites me is that the addressable market for apps is actually becoming bigger and bigger. So the technology itself of an app, even if it's web-based or if it is a native app, etc., it's something that it's coming like a tidal wave to every segment of our consumer base. In fact, the biggest growth of our consumption of apps is actually coming from our feature phones, our mobile phones. Everybody wants apps. And so the point is, it's actually a very exciting technology problem to crack. How do you maintain that experience as you go lower and lower in the price point, etc. And so I think, how do I actually deliver the universal app that everybody can enjoy with the same level of quality? And I think that's something that we're really, really excited to be able to crack.
Have we even imagined it? There's so many innovations happening every day that it's the exciting part about what keeps us all up at night is what's going to happen tomorrow. So right now, believe it or not, we're pretty bullish on very established technologies like SMS. That's a way to reach billions of consumers.
That's where you do the brunt of your marketing, is it?
It's where we'd like to see most of it. I think because Coca-Cola is an innovative brand and is known for engaging consumers in new and interesting ways, we certainly do experiments on the edge of what's possible. Audio fingerprinting, 2D codes, augmented reality, things like that. Location, I think, is perhaps one area that I would be particularly excited to see happen, if for no other reason. If we remember what I said about our value chain, 22 million customers serviced by our bottlers. That's a lot of locations. That's a lot of locations. And if we can find ways to help each one of our 22 million customers grow their business because we helped attract a consumer in for a movie, a pizza, whatever it might be, I think we've added great value to what we bring to the equation.
I'm excited about Windows 8. I think Microsoft's been sort of counted out in the last year to 2 years, rightly so.
Yeah, sure.
Although Windows Phone 7, I think, is an elegant operating system. But I'm fairly new to the iPad. Of course, it's fairly new itself, right? That's just 2 years. And I was kind of a skeptic, but I use it all the time and I love it. But the apps I use most on the iPad are the browser, the calendar, and the email client.
Sure.
And they all suck.
There's room there.
And so, what I think the potential that Microsoft has is to really sort of link together a multi-platform operating system strategy across phones and tablets and PCs that really benefits a business user with the office productivity applications that we use all the time every day. We don't think of those as apps
Well, the app market is a misnomer because anybody who's used a PC since the mid '80s has been using apps.
Exactly.
It's just they've just coined it as an app now.
We're getting into the car sharing business with a company called Relay Rides, where we're using the technology that was launched with the Remote Link app, where you can unlock your car door and get location of the vehicle and things like that. And we're going to use it for a car sharing program. Really interesting extension of the business, and I think it'll make, again, a GM vehicle a little bit more attractive in the marketplace because you can offset the cost of new vehicle ownership by perhaps, renting out your car in different ways. And so it's just a whole new world out there. And so I think these types of things are fun to work on, is that you start, it's not for everybody, right? And that's what apps are. They're not for everybody, but they're, they resonate highly with certain segments of the population. That's what the cool thing is.
But so do you find that that the way that you guys are thinking is changing as a result of bringing this technology in?
I think it's giving us pause in terms of what is next. There's it's you want to get the thing that you're working on done first, and then there's 6 more ideas coming right behind you, and then you're trying to keep up with the new operating systems that are out there. And we're doing work on HTML5, and that's exciting. Right at once, deploy to many, and so you have new features, new services that you want to deliver, and you're trying to keep up with the technology trends. I mean, it's a busy time, it's an exciting time, and I think it's all going to lead to just a better, customer experience for everyone.
Well, from a MEF perspective, I think we're really being led by our members in terms of what the key priorities are. So for Latin America, we have launched a unified code of conduct that's applied to Brazil, that was adopted by regulators and all operators, and we want to bring this to the rest of Latin America. We also are looking to helping with the Common Short Code initiative that is taking place. And finally, we are set to look at expanding into Mexico, which is probably the second most important market for Latin America.
Absolutely.
So very key for us. And then in North America, it's really moving forward with mobile commerce, ensuring that all the constituents in the value chain are represented, that there is a clear and transparent kind of rules around all of this. Privacy is an area that demands much attention. We had a very interesting panel today with the IAB and the FTC, and we're really looking to collaborate on how we can build some best practice around this. It's not that, it's really all about helping consumers to understand what information they are sharing, but also benefit from the contextualization elements that mobile uniquely provides them with.
Well, I think what will change, and the holidays are coming up, I think what will change is there'll be a lot more fragmentation in the tablet space. Yeah. So the Kindle Fire looks to be maybe a competitor to the iPad, and there's some other very nice Android tablets coming out. So I think that will start to get more fragmented, and it was similar in mobile web. So when the iPhone launched, it was the top device for a while. Android came along and had started to fragment that a bit, and I think that's going to happen with tablets. So and that's coming. And
that's a big opportunity for you guys, multi-platforms.
Yeah, I think it's a big opportunity and a big challenge. Yeah. Making the content easy to digest and making it work on all of these platforms is a challenge for us.
What about technologies or things that you're seeing over the next 12 or 18 months in mobile that really kind of are piquing your interest, that you're excited about?
I really do like location-based services. I really do like the way that now it's becoming easier and easier to create a device around you, the way you live, the way you want to function. Mm-hmm. I think that the key is going to be allowing devices to be tailored to you without narrowing your world down to seeing the same things you always see. Right. That's going to be the balance. But I think that to the extent that my mobile device can help open windows to the world for me, it's going to be great.
So, they talk about smartphone adoption, and within that statement, I mean, there's low-end smartphones and high-end smartphones, and knowing...
Let's face it, actually, I'm going to interrupt. they're not smartphones anymore.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
nobody uses the phone anymore. We got to drop that moniker there.
Right.
Mobile devices,
Yes, yeah.
computers, whatever. But smartphones
Right.
is a misnomer.
Right. So when you see the results of very quick adoption, in the last 5 years of having nothing like an iPhone to having everyone have something in a clone like that, the price points falling, which should just eliminate the feature phone and put much more capable computing devices in people's hands that are interactive. That's game changing. That's game changing on so many different fronts. I think it's scary for operators who are going to be worrying about data consumption, that's exciting to me because of the consumer electronics form factors, because of the way that we're going to interact with each other, and since I'm in the marketing space, you just think of, wow, I mean, the possibilities are going to be really endless, right?
You said something really that's very interesting there, is that concern for the carriers, carriers, I suppose, as well. Who else should be concerned about this? Like when you look about this. Like I think that SMS and direct one-to-one marketing and tailored marketing, location, contextualized, all that kind of stuff, would put the fear in me in a broadcast network, ads, it would, traditional marketing, traditional print. Is that all the stuff that they're looking at this thinking, how do we survive this?
Yeah, I mean, I think there will always be room for many of those elements, but certainly there's a life cycle of growth in industries, and obviously there's one coming, and there's one going,
and it's
right?
sitting right there, right?
Yeah, and it's sitting right there.
It.
Yeah. So I would say, if you're more in the traditional marketing world, if you're not a fast adopter of mobile, I mean, I would say this has been very exciting to see. Probably in the last 90 days, there's been some very interesting acquisitions of mobile technology companies into other companies that are in the space who know they don't have this and know they need this. And so, you're going to have to really understand this, otherwise you're going to probably be left behind.
I think in the mobile space, if anything, it's the web that I'm interested in the mobile space. So it's HTML5. It's the opening up of mobile devices to be cloud-based, and it's the growing proliferation of smartphones. Really, it's more and more people have talked to carriers, and if it's not a smartphone, they can't even sell it anymore. And I think the dominant trend is really connected devices, and devices with rich, high-speed connections to the internet are going to enable a lot of new shopping experiences that we can't even begin to. We've seen some great examples, but we can't even begin to know what sorts of innovations we're going to be able to see out there once you start layering on that whole digital layer of experience on top of everyday shopping experiences.
Well, we're at MEFAmericas. LATAM is our topic. One of the biggest challenges in Latin America at the moment is the problem of it's a prosaic problem, but it's a very serious problem of actually being able to provision shortcodes for the Latin American market, which at the moment is a very, very complicated exercise indeed, even in one country. And we know from experience in other countries that the moment that the problem of fragmented management of a numbering plan, the moment that problem goes away, suddenly the business explodes.
Yeah.
And I'm very excited about some work that MEF is doing, that CTIA is doing to resolve this problem in a relatively short time, and we think that that will have a dramatic effect upon the opportunity for mobile commerce in Latin America. So I'm very excited about that.
Gosh, I think in terms of which particular area, like
so
how...
when you talk about impacting retail, for example, about through mobile, what is it that you're seeing down the road that you're thinking, when this hits, it's going to change the way that we do these things?
I always sometimes say look back to look forward sometimes. There's great lessons in history. And I think what I'm seeing is I'm seeing a handful of retailers who are really starting to understand the power of SMS and what you can do with it.
It's insane.
And it's something that we've had for a long time, but it's been an underappreciated tool that they've had in their toolbox for a long time. And so I'm very excited in how people are starting to use SMS more, not only for marketing, but also for transactions, and how people are starting to understand MMS. MMS, I think, was something where you didn't have good interoperability between the carriers, so your audience reach was very limited. Right. And still, there's a lot of big people who sell MMS, but they can only get you one or two carriers. Right. There's a handful of companies out there like Mogreed or if you look, I think it was Iris Mobile as examples. They can really get you a lot of reach on MMS. And MMS is a very easy way to engage with that customer. And what's getting cool about MMS is that in the old days, you couldn't really tell what kind of phone that customer was on. Carriers knew, but they wouldn't let you as a marketer know. So you're trying to put together applications or content that you want to deliver down to that device, but it's not going to work on all the devices. So the experience was really bad. But now these companies are innovating, those I mentioned, where they can actually start to understand what device you're on. And because they understand what device you're on, they can then deliver down the right type of content for that device. So this is basically breathing some new life into that. I'm also very interested in companies like Zoosh. It's an application called Zoosh. It comes from a company called Narate out of the Bay Area. Fantastic bunch of guys. And the things they're doing with audio encryption. So you've probably seen things like Shazam and Shopkick, which they've done some really exciting things in terms of audio recognition. But these guys have figured out how to do encryption. I mean, they're getting into like the transactional level, where literally I can transfer money from an Android device to an iPod device. I can basically allow these devices to talk through audio. So now I don't care if the person has connectivity or not. So I can be in a place where there's no connectivity. These two devices can talk. I don't care if the person has Bluetooth or not. It's very simple. Speaker, microphone. But it also allows for stores to engage. So I can pump music in. I could have sounds which are not perceptible to the human ear.
That's right.
And the device can pick up on this, and the device can react and respond to it. Or I can even send down, for example, an MMS with this audio file, and the customer could walk in. I could redeem it if I just put this little microphone connected to my
Pretty
POS.
incredible, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's the kind of stuff, though, that is the future forward thinking around mobile. And I think that really is what the vision. Right, so we're going to get there, but there's a bunch of steps.
And there's one more which I have to, because I spent a lot of years in this, and this is around augmented reality and the what I'd call machine vision space. Really things like where you have really taken advantage of the camera phone. The idea that I can use the camera intelligently, that I can just point my camera at things. I don't have to scan a QR code, but I can actually recognize the images. I can point it at you, know who you are as a customer, and get a lot of information. So I can have cameras in my stores. You walk into the store. There's a lot of creepy factor around this, but let me tell you, like the cameras are already there. They're just making sure you don't steal stuff, right? But if I can know who you are the moment you walk in that door, and then I have data about you, I can pump that into a tablet maybe that my associate's carrying, and that associate knows things about what you like, what your preferences are, and that associate can service you better. They can provide better recommendations to you, and that gets really interesting. Or just the fact that I can now engage with my environment better, so I can just point my phone at product packaging, or all these different kinds of things. I can point them at ads, and it's instantly delivering content down.
It's all enabled.
Yeah, so there was a company called Everix Technologies. People have heard of Google Goggles, people have heard of, like there was a company, Snaptel, which was acquired by Amazon, but the company that really pioneered this space and patented this technology was called Everix Technologies. They got acquired by a company called IPplex, and there's some very exciting things coming down the pipe there. People have been talking about like home buys, Tesco out of Korea, which was basically putting essentially like images of products in public places, and they were using QR codes. Well, what if I don't have to use a QR code anymore? So the idea that now I can do that, but then you start to make this social in the sense that people can start to contribute their images, and they can add their comments, their thoughts, their ideas, their opinions to all these images. So now when I put my camera phone on your face, not only can I maybe get your LinkedIn profile,
you get my family's opinion of me.
I get all that. I can get your buying habits, but also about products. So I can point it at a product. I can I can instantly know what people are doing. I don't have to as a customer. It's ease of use. I don't have to go and start typing in the SKU numbers. I don't have to download a QR reading app and then scan it. It's literally, I can just point my camera phone at it, and boom, it's delivering content right to my handset that's meaningful and useful to me. That gets me really excited.